Welcome to Life and Living. Welcome to our season of fruitfulness. Fruitfulness, increase, or multiplication are synonymous words, and it depends on the context of usage. The scriptures will use one or the other. The purpose of this broadcast is to talk about the dangers of unfruitfulness. So welcome to the dangers of unfruitfulness. Now, it is God's heart desire that every one of us be fruitful, multiply, increase. In fact, that seemed to be the very first commandment God gave to man. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 28 confirms that every one of us is supposed to be fruitful, increase, multiply. And it is by this means that God intended Adam and his wife to replenish the earth with the Eden prototype. But what happened? Why did man become unfruitful? And what be the dangers of man falling into unfruitfulness? Now, there are two trees in the garden. One tree was the tree of life. The other tree was the tree of death. If you like it, call it the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God wanted man to make a choice, to live or to die. And unfortunately, man chose to die by partaking of the tree of knowledge and evil. That was the offense that got Adam and his wife out of the Eden garden. Now, we call that sin. Sin was the chief cause for man falling into unfruitfulness. Because once man was outside of the garden, he met with sweat, he met with struggle, he met with toiling. And the earth, of course, was not yielding anymore as it used to yield for man. So sin was the chief cause of man falling into unfruitfulness. Now, Jesus also gave us another cause for man's unfruitfulness in John chapter 15 and verse 1. He taught the people, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, then you'll be fruitful. You'll bring forth much fruit. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, we are told, the Father plucks away. plucks away, meaning there is a disconnection, the source of fruitfulness. So that's why we are considering in this broadcast the dangers of unfruitfulness. Number one, like we have been told in the teachings of Jesus in John chapter 15 and verse 1, the Father, who happens to be the vine dresser in that teaching, takes away, unplucks, plucks out the branch that does not bear fruit. I see green foliage outside there in the open space, trees with leaves on them, green and beautiful to behold. But once that leaf or branch is plucked off from the main branch, now give it a couple of hours, the death process sets in. There's a withering, there's a losing of color, and death ensues. So, when we are not fruitful, there will always be a tendency to be disconnected from the source of life. And God does not want that to happen to any man. Two, not only do we face imminent death, we can also suffer shame, ridicule from others. You take an example from the lives of those who were before us. Anna was Elkanah's beloved wife, but we were told for some reason Anna was barren. Penina, her maid, will always taunt her for barrenness. And we saw the event that happened in 1 Samuel chapter 1, that Anna had to bring her grief before the Lord. There was a divine intervention. Well, that's my prayer for any person suffering unfruitfulness, barrenness in the body, that there will be a divine intervention. Because barrenness, unfruitfulness, in this case, brings shame, and God does not intend that for any one of us. 3, you will lose your position. If you're not fruitful, the tendency will be for you to be displaced. In corporations, we see that happen. Even in ministries, we see that happen. And even God, in His anointing of men, when men choose to be unfruitful, now we see God withholding what we call power or unction to perform divine assignment. In Luke chapter 13 and verse 8, Jesus gave that illustration about the fig tree. The fig tree was planted. The fig tree was taken care of, provided with all that it may need to bring forth fruit. But when the master came around for fruit on a seemingly luxuriant fig tree. No fruit was to be found. They received the curse from the master. Now, what we are saying is, when we are unfruitful, now we put ourselves, or we remove ourselves from the blessing, and we place ourselves where the curse can work on us. That's why no man wants to be unfruitful, because it's the blessing of the Lord that makes rich. When your life is to struggle with curses, it will be a miserable life indeed. Well, we are saying also, the blessed man is the man that we are told brings forth much fruit. And the Bible makes us to understand that branch that beareth fruit, God beautifies. He prunes the life of the man that beareth fruit. The life of the man that beareth no fruit is exposed. He is exposed to predators of life. He is exposed to enemies of life. In fact, your enemies will multiply against you if you still abide in a state of unfruitfulness. The troubles will be too much to carry. That's why we're making up our mind once again to depart from unfruitfulness. Whatever area, whatever field, whatever calling. The Lord bless you all.